Hey YouTube, just wanted to show a quick video about potting up pelargoniums. I always every year end up doing large quantities of pelargonium plants and end up with little 4-inch pots of starts. Here we've got a nice little plant of Pelargonium Millfield Rose. Some of these plants I'll use for bedding in the garden, varying planters, things like that. A lot of them I'll just end up popping into slightly larger terracotta pots and using them randomly throughout the yard. Some of them I also will pot up into larger plastic pots just as stock plants to have in the greenhouse to grow up and get more cuttings off of. Here's a nice plant of Pelargonium Pink Happy Thought. So when dealing with pelargoniums, they do like to have a fairly airy mix. They don't want anything really, really heavy. Also, they do like to dry out quite well between waterings. They are very tolerant of heat as long as they're dry. So they don't mind if the temperatures go up into the upper 30s or sometimes even the low 40s Celsius, as long as they're not wet at the time. That will quickly sort of steam and rot off all of their roots. That's why I do like clay pots for them for the summer. It just makes them easier to tend to. Don't have to worry about accidentally overwatering and having them rot away. They dry out fairly quickly and easily that way. And I can also water them and give them lots of fertilizer to get them going. So I'll take this little plant. Ideally it would go into a much larger pot and it would be very happy and grow nice and big, but it'll still be just fine. Here we've got a roughly 6-inch clay pot. So I put some of my mix. This is Sunshine number 4, very similar to Pro Mix, which is available in most areas, and a little bit of perlite mixed in. There's also a little bit of fine pumice stone mixed in as well. And I'll just bring the level of the soil in the pot up to roughly where I think it's going to be. Carefully just take your fingers, slide around the stem of the plant, turn it upside down, give it a little push. Here we can see it's got a nice little system of roots sort of encircling most of the pot, but they're not so tight that they're sort of constricting themselves. Shake off anything super loose. Because those roots are not a thick mass of roots, they're not causing any trouble, I'm not going to really disturb the plant very much. I'm just going to gently put it in, try and center it, take off any leaves that are fading, just a little downward pull, and they snap off nice and clean so you don't have little stubs left over. And I'll just fill in around the edges here. Now, I know that the root mass is roughly right here where I've placed the plant, so I'm going to gently push down sort of around the outside. I don't want to do any firm pushing right around the base of the plant. That tends to just shear roots off from the stem and leaves you basically with a very large cutting that you're trying to re-root. So just get that mixed in there. The mix that I'm using right now is fairly damp, so in my climate I probably wouldn't bother watering this for a day or two. If you're somewhere that's a little bit more arid, you may need to water it sooner. Ideally, even watering just to settle it in right now, but this plant's going to be just fine if I leave it for a couple days. And then by the end of summer I should have a nice big bushy plant that I can get lots of cuttings off of. Thanks YouTube, take care.